Hey, well, good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Winning at Work, career boosting conversations with HR's leading voices. This week, I've got a special friend of mine, Patrick Chandler, who is a finance coach and wealth manager for one of a pretty big company you may have heard about. And today, we're going to talk about your money at work. I think it's important no matter what job you have, no matter where you are in your professional arena, to think about what your money does after it hits your bank account and maybe even before it gets into your bank account. So, Patrick, thanks for coming to the show, man.
Man, thank you so much, Joey. Appreciate it. I'm really, really happy to be here talking with you, talking to the people. There's no better time than now to talk about our money, to talk about what we're doing with our money, not just making it, right, but what happens with our money after that paycheck hits our direct deposit or, whatever situation you may find yourself in. So I'm super excited. I have a 7-month-old daughter upstairs, so this has been a good reprieve to be able to get away from changing diapers and come in and talk. So, man, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Yeah, of course. Adult conversation. It's very necessary when you've got a child, a young one, and you're watching baby shows and reading books about Goodnight Moon and all that. You kind of want to get back into the grown folk conversation.
It's so true. 100%. 100%.
So you're 7 months old. What's her favorite book?
So
what are y'all reading
she loves
together?
Goodnight Moon. There's another book called ABCs for the Little G's. She loves that one. And then we have like a kids like Bible. She's not a fan of that one yet, but we're gonna give it time. We're gonna keep reading to her. So those are some of her favorites. She loves Dave and Ava on YouTube, so I've been watching Dave and Ava. Shout out to whoever created that. Thank you. You saved my life these last 7 months. So those are her go-tos.
Oh my goodness, man! I think all we watch is YouTube. If it's not Blippi, it's something else. Coco Melon or Little Baby Bum. None of these shows sponsor this episode, by the way.
right.
They run my life. That's all I could talk about is the latest episode of where Blippi is or what have you. I know there's some parents watching. So we're just having a laugh. But Patrick, one of the things that I like to do with guests on the show is we do 2 truths and a lie. And I know you're a money guy, so you've probably calculated the lie that will have the highest probability of trapping us and tricking us. But I'm going to give you the floor to give your 2 truths and a lie. And if you're tuning into this live, go ahead and drop your thought in the chat. We can see it and we can respond. So go ahead. What's your
all right. So I wrote these down so that I'll be prepared. So
see, the money guy is always prepared.
Prepared. I already did the statistics. Okay, so first one is I have 4 siblings.
Okay.
Second one is I've been married for 2 years.
Okay.
And then the third one is my parents are from Jamaica.
All right. What do you all think? If you're tuning in live, does he have 4 siblings? Has he been married for 2 years? You don't have much gray in your hair, so you're still newly married.
I may darken it. You never know. I may be covering it over.
That's a good point too. And then parents from Jamaica. Let me ask you this. What's the best curry recipe? What's the best way to have curry?
What's the best way? Curry chicken is by far the best way to have curry. People say curry shrimp, curry goat. Those are second best at all, right? Curry chicken with roti is the best food known to mankind. So I would say curry chicken. If you're not a curry fan, jerk chicken is phenomenal. Patties, fish cakes. I can just go on and on about Caribbean food. So curry chicken.
All right. So I know the answer. So
you got the answer already.
I'm just gonna blurt it out. You're not from Jamaica, bro.
No, we're not.
But somewhere close. Somewhere
We're
close.
close. I try
Yeah.
to throw it in, the cluster of Caribbean islands. But no, my parents are from Barbados, very close to Jamaica, but not Jamaica. So that is the lie. I do have 4 siblings. I have been married for 2 years. So yeah, you got me.
All right, I got something for you too. This is an exclusive.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go. I love it. I feel like I'm on a breakfast
club. Carnival or something like that. That's a throwback.
Yes, sir. It's all canceled now because of COVID. So
I know. So unfortunate, man. I know a lot of people have fun there, and I'm sure it's good for the economy. And hopefully we bounce back on the other side of this.
For sure.
Speaking of COVID, what have been some of the thoughts and questions that people have had about their money in the midst of this pandemic season?
Man, that's a great question. Everything has been turned on its head. And I think, when COVID first broke, one, we didn't know how long we would be in this season, and then also the effects that it would have on the economy. So really for the everyday person, their question is, do I have enough money to be able to sustain me and my family through this season? We all know someone who's been furloughed or let go from their job.
Yep.
Or decreased pay, or maybe you're in the same financial situation, but there's just a cloud of uncertainty around your job, around what you do, or you can be completely set. You can be in a position where your job's not in jeopardy. Everybody's had that thought of, will I have enough money to pay for my fixed expenses, for example, right? My house. Can I pay for car insurance? Can I pay for gas and to send my kids to school? So really, the initial reaction was, do I have enough money to be able to live? And then going a layer deeper from there, everybody was worried about their investments. So if you have a 401k at your job, 403b, brokerage accounts, people were in a position where they saw the market turn down, 20 to 30%. We had to halt trading, multiple days in a row because of how fast we saw the economy plummeting. So a lot of people, right? Mind blowing. It's some what do the kids say? Scary times. It was definitely. There was definitely uncertainty through that. So you have individuals who are close to retirement, right? They're getting ready to, hit 60, 65, and they had to watch their retirement accounts, unfortunately, maybe take a 10, 15, 20% hit in the span of a couple of days. So between everyday expenses and investment accounts, that's really where, majority of the calls that I received, a lot of people that I spoke with were focused on, can we keep the lights on? And then can I also retire with dignity? Through that. So those are 2 things that I heard a lot as we entered into the COVID season.
So what have you been saying? How have those conversations gone? What are some of the pieces of advice you've been sharing to help people kind of settle their nerves and be optimistic about the position that they're in?
Right. So what I try to do, I'll talk to 2 different people, right? I'll have a conversation with the people that I could have a conversation with before COVID happened, and then those who we haven't spoken until COVID started. So ideally, you want to be prepared for disasters. And what does that look like? What does that mean? I tell individuals they need to have 3 to 6 months of cash on hand to be able to cover their expenses. 3 months if you're not married and you don't have any kids or any other responsibilities. 6 months to a year, ideally, if you are married, you have kids, and you have other people who are responsible for you. And what that does is when a COVID happens, or the housing market crash, or the internet bubble, or the dot-com bubble burst, or Enron, right? You can plug in whatever you want into that scenario. You're in a position where if everything goes to hell, I will be okay. Me and my family will be okay for this specific amount of time. Now, that's not meant to be extra investment money. That's not meant to be, I can go buy this or go do this. This is money that under no circumstance you touch unless an emergency befalls you and your family. So if I got to you before, I would say make sure that you have that nest egg, have that cash reserved for you. And then if I got to you before as well, on the investment side, I would have a conversation with one, you need to be working with an advisor. You need to be working with a trusted professional who's helping you to mitigate the risk in your investment portfolio. Right? If you're getting ready to enter retirement, your portfolio most likely shouldn't have been in a position where you were taking on a lot of risk because you wanted to make sure that you're conserving, right? You're conserving what you've built. If you're a little bit younger, we still can look to, change around your asset allocation a little bit so that you're still finding value in the market. But you want to be in a position where, now I say this to my clients all the time, we want to be up beyond where the market is and we want to be down less than where the market is down, right? So get a trusted professional in your corner to help you navigate and help you to kind of anticipate, right? None of us have a crystal ball, but start to anticipate, some of the things that you're seeing. If we just had a conversation now, I spoke to you and I found you on the street and you said, Patrick, what's going on? It's a disaster. I'm struggling or whatever it may be. My conversation with you would be one, and it's not financial, it's more of a mentality, is to calm down and relax. I find that individuals make some of the worst financial decisions of their life when they're frantic, when they're nervous. So my first thing would be to tell you to calm down. Take a holistic view of your finances and see where you are. What category do you fit in? Are you without a job? If you're without a job, then we need to make sure that we try to find you a new job, try to get you in a position where you can start bringing in some income to be able to sustain your monthly expenses. If you have a job but you're just nervous, well, then let's build up that emergency fund. Let's make sure that your investments are allocated properly. And if you're someone who's thriving and doing very well for yourself, this is not a time to get complacent, right? If you have cash on the side, now is a better time than any to deploy it and to be able to take some advantages of the market. So it's kind of wherever you find yourself in that spectrum, the strategic things that I would recommend for you. I don't want to monopolize the whole time, but that's what I would do for those I got to before and then those who we speak to now in the midst of the crisis.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And I love that you have tailored information for wherever someone may fall on the spectrum or whatever circumstance they may be in, pre or I can't say post, but pre or in the midst of COVID. And the reason why I wanted to have you on the program is because so many times we're going to talk about the election, but so many times we think of getting into a job or getting into a career, and we think that the only way that or the primary way that we make money and make a life for ourselves is through our income. But we started the conversation by saying, what is your money doing after it hits your direct deposit? I was always fascinated by this story of a janitor who, donated like $6 million to a local museum.
Yeah, I heard of that. Yeah,
he was a savvy investor, right? And he built that wealth as a janitor. And we all know the ability to have a high income typically is not, you don't think of a janitor. You may think of somebody in IT. You may think of someone in medicine or legal or what have you. And really winning at work, I feel like if you deploy your money, like you said, and you build up wealth, you can feel freer and more excited about what it is that you do for work, no matter how much you're paid, because you know how to deploy your money once you get it.
100%.
What are your thoughts on that? Can people live a successful life no matter if they're in an entry level job or top 500 level CEO? What are your thoughts?
So you hit the nail on the head 100%. Statistics show that the majority of millionaires in the United States of America never made over $100,000 in a single year. Right? And I think
Say that again, because I didn't know that. Say that one more time.
So the majority of millionaires in the United States of America have never made over $100,000 per year. Now, some of you just, you wipe the sweat off your face and you said, thank you, because I don't make under 100,000, but there's still hope for me. And I think what that shows is your income is not the most important reason why you'll be successful with money and be able to build wealth. What you should be focusing on, 100% what Joey said, is what do I do with my money when it comes into my account, right? So I'll start by telling you what not to do, right? So you definitely should be on a budget. And if you're not on a budget, get on a budget. Because what happens is when your money comes into your account and you don't have a plan, right? Because that's just what a budget is. It gives you a plan for your money. If you don't have a plan for your money, you're going to find that you spent $40 here at Target. You went to 7-Eleven, you spent $17, and then you look up one day, and over the span of an entire year, you spent thousands of dollars with no rhyme or reason or any purpose, right? So that's step number one. Have a plan for your money. Number two, we need to make sure that we are maximizing our employee retirement accounts. So I talk to some people who say, I don't really trust the employee retirement account. I have my cash at home, right? And burying it out back, or I'm not utilizing that. We 100% have to utilize our employer retirement accounts because for many reasons. But for one, those are pre-tax dollars, meaning before Uncle Sam comes in and takes his Medicare, Medicaid, state, federal taxes, you're able to hide away a little bit money in that retirement account. And really the power of that is what we're looking at is compound interest, right? You hear it all the time. People's like, oh, what's compound interest? So essentially what you want to do is consistently, month after month, year after year, I'm talking 10, 15, 20, 25 years, commit to a specific amount of money that you're going to put into your retirement account. And this is not money dependent, right? Like you can make 50,000, you can make 60,000, you can make 70, wherever you are in the spectrum of income, you can commit to something, right? It doesn't have to be an astronomical amount of money that you want to contribute. The more the merrier, the more money you'll have at the end. But just by starting with a small amount, you can look up in 25 to 30 years and be a multimillionaire. But the key to it is why many people don't do it is the consistency and the discipline that's required to do it, right? So the difficult part is, can I contribute $50, $100, $200 every single paycheck between now and the time that I retire? And most people cannot, right? They get a little distracted, or maybe I want to spend it on this vacation, or maybe I want to buy this, or maybe I want to do that. It doesn't always have to be things they want for themselves. Maybe I want to give it to my kids and send them to private school, whatever that process may be for you. But when you do that, you are robbing yourself of a dignified retirement as well. And Joey, you're young, I'm young, but even now we have to think about retirement, right? It just can't be a thing that once we hit 40, then we start getting focused about. The sooner you start, the more capital will be there when you're ready to retire. And then the last thing that I'll mention, and I know it's a touchy subject, and we can dive a little bit more if people want to hear about it. But my wealthiest clients who I deal with, they are able to keep their liabilities low. Extremely, extremely low. If you look at net worth, you're looking at assets minus liabilities, right? We always want to push to increase our assets, right? Potentially we can make more income, or have a side hustle, or bring in more money, or just kill it at work where we're being continually promoted. But the part that we don't focus on is the liability section of it, right? I'm not going to get into the student loan crisis that we have going on currently, but debt is one of the most hampering things that I see for people who are trying to build a legacy and build wealth. They have great incomes, they have great work ethic, they're contributing to the retirement, but they have this boulder, right? I see it as an anchor, right? You're trying to take your ship and you're trying to, sail. Me and Joey were actually just talking about boating before we got on this call. It's a good analogy. And they're wondering why they can't set sail at a faster pace. It's because this debt is weighing down the boat. And I don't know if you're out there, you may be watching this, you may have some debt, credit cards, student loans. Make sure that you get that to a manageable place, that you're able to continually increase your personal wealth, right? Because when you're paying for a student loan, or you're paying on a credit card, you're making somebody else wealthy. You're not making yourself wealthy. So own your money and make sure that every dollar that you bring in is yours. There's a great saying from a book that I read. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon.
I love it.
The saying says, part of all you earn is yours to keep. Which means when you work hard, you go to your 9 to 5, or you're working 10, 13-hour days, you need to make sure that you're maximizing the money that you bring in, right? Don't pay Sallie Mae, don't pay American Express and Visa. Make sure you pay yourself in the form of investing, in the form of paying down your debt, in the form of creating a nest egg for your savings. So that's enough. I don't want to monopolize too much, but those are some of the things that I would say.
Hey, I feel like I don't have to say anymore, but this is so good. Let's keep going. You mentioned the liabilities part, which is huge, and you mentioned it being an anchor or a weight that weighs you down as you try to pursue a higher, a greater quality of life. And one of my mentors, presses upon me and the guys that follow him is, make your assets pay for your liabilities, or find yourself in a position where your assets can pay for your liabilities. And just as a personal story, we just moved into a new house, and
Congrats,
we
man.
decided, yeah, thank you. We decided to keep our old house, and turn it into a rental property. And it's a risky thing to consider in light of COVID
Yeah.
and everything. But fortunately, we have exceptional tenants, and we want to take care of the place. But being able to now convert a liability, a mortgage, into an asset where it's producing income for us, that helps me go to work and know that, hey, I don't have to work so hard to cover all of our bills and save
Yeah.
and dream, because our money is in a position where it's able to work harder for us. And I'm sure my wife could say the same. But tying it into the whole at work piece, right? Like, you can show your ability to perform when you don't have to worry about, how am I going to pay that cell phone bill? How am I going to pay that student loan bill? If you're able to get, work aggressively to pay off debt, or put yourself in a position to create assets that will take care of liabilities, you could go do whatever it is that you want to do. I
Yeah.
used to say, before the age of Uber and before Audible, I said my dream job, if I ever made $1 million or more, I would retire. And by the way, $1 million isn't that much these days, so that
Yeah.
that has to increase a little bit, maybe 5 or 6 million. But I said,
Thanks to inflation. At
thanks to
one point,
inflation.
at one point, $1 million was the gold standard.
Oh yeah.
If you retire with $1 million, your standard of living is going to be maybe not what you would dream of.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with how long we're living too. Um, and I said, I had $1 million, I would retire and be a taxi driver because I love driving and I like talking to people, or I'd be a librarian because I like books. And that it's weird, right? But to me, that would have been, or that's the essence of like winning at work, where
Yeah.
you can do what you love and you don't have to worry about the financial component of it. And I
Yeah.
think the sound principles, the sound financial principles that you talk about, helps put people in that position where it doesn't matter what you do 9 to 5. Um, you could be progressing towards that ideal VP level job, and have the discipline and patience to wait it out and grow and get years of experience. Because while you're climbing your corporate ladder, you're also building good financial strategies.
That's great.
That was more a statement and a story than any kind of question. But with the folks that you're talking with on the coaching side or the wealth management side, um, would you say the more financially free people say they love their job more, hate their job more? What's the vibe there?
There's a mixed bag. There's honestly a
Okay.
mixed bag because I work with entrepreneurs. I work with people who own their own business. And then I work for people who work for other businesses, right? They're climbing the corporate ladder. They may be a C-suite executive, maybe on a VP level or a director level. And there's a mixed bag. I think those who are most, I guess, happy with their form of employment are those who are in a position where they're able to feel their passion, right? People who are in a job that is not directly correlated to what they're passionate about, that's when I start getting oh man, I can't wait to transition, or I want to go
Yeah.
start this business over here, or I want to go do this. And that's not just for entrepreneurs. I think we have this mentality of every entrepreneur is happy, right? The only people who are unhappy are those who are working in corporate America, and that is not true. I talk with entrepreneurs who are miserable, right? They got
Mm-hmm.
into an area of the field that may have been profitable for them, but it was never a passion for them. So they're doing
Yeah.
it for the money, but not because they love it. So I would say to those, regardless of where you are, intern all the way up to the CEO of an organization, be passionate about what you do. And I'll add
Yeah.
this caveat. We live in a world, it's a capitalistic society. You're not going to do anything about that. You're not going to change it. So will you have to take jobs and be in positions at some point in your life that you don't 100% love? Absolutely. And that's an unpopular opinion, right? You can talk to Joey, me, any other person. There's been jobs in our lives, whether it be growing up in high school, wherever it is, right? I used to work at Wendy's, and everybody laughs at that, like, oh my gosh, you worked at Wendy's? But yeah, that's where I started. In high school, I was flipping patties during the summer. But that taught me the lessons for what I need now, dealing with my private wealth management clients, right? Managing millions of dollars. Some people may say you didn't learn anything, but that was the bedrock, and that was the beginning of kind of what I needed. So I guess the saying would be, don't despise humble beginnings. And then always be in a position where you're trying to get closer to your passion. You're trying to get more aligned to what you feel like you're called to do. And it may not be right now. You may be in a position that pays a significant amount of money, but you're still not passionate about it. That's where the winning at work perspective comes in, and where control of your finances comes in as well. Because when you're in control of your finances, and you are in a position where you work because you want to, not because you have to, then you're able to say, hey, you know what? This is a great position. I've built my 401k. I've built my nest egg. I got my $1 million, like Joey said I should. And you walk in and you say, hey, today's my last day. It's nothing wrong with the organization. I just want to go pursue my passion. But that type of autonomy is only provided to those who are able to win at work and win in their finances as well.
Man, I don't know about you, but I'm just trying to get like Dave Chappelle, who can say, "Oh, I just want to leave it all behind and go to Africa for a few years,
right,
and be able to come back to something."
Right.
We're coming towards the end of this. I wanted to hit a hot button topic that we've kind of teased throughout this conversation, and that's the election. I'm not going to ask you what candidate you're voting for, or rooting for. Which candidate your 401k is rooting for. But could you give some kind of guidance or a thought or something that we can take away about this election, and how either candidate may or may not impact finances, personal finances,
right.
And if there's any personal responsibility that we have about our finances, regardless of who's in office. And
right.
I think we'll close on this conversation. But I've really enjoyed having you on the show. And I feel like this is just the first of many times that we get Patrick Chandler on talking about money and helping people win at work and with their finances.
Yeah. So first, thank you so much, Joey. This has been phenomenal. I love talking about money. Love talking to you. You've done phenomenal work with your business. So kudos to you, and thank you for having me on. That is a great question. And I think that's the most asked question that I get from prospects, from clients, random person walking down the street and I'm wearing a suit. Hey, you look like you're a finance guy. Tell me about the election. So regardless of who wins the election, Donald Trump or Joe Biden coming in, statistically, historically, we see volatility whenever there's an election. Even if the president stays, president goes, we are anticipating to see some form of volatility in the market. How much? That depends on, several different factors. We've experienced a lot of volatility this year, so it'll only really be par for the course, right? Like, don't expect us to just cruise into Christmas, head into 2021, market stays steady. There's going to be some type of disruption there. So the question is, what does that mean for you, right? You're at the edge of your seat and you're just like, okay, well, what does that mean for me? I don't want to lose any money. I've had a rough year. What I would say for you is get connected with a trusted professional. I'm open to having conversations. I do this with clients and prospects all the time, of having a conversation about how am I allocated across the board, my brokerage accounts, my retirement accounts, my savings, where my mortgage is. Have a trusted professional look at your entire financial picture and help them financially plan for you. What that looks like is, okay, maybe we may be a little bit too risky, right? We may have too much, positions in aggressive approaches. Maybe we need to scale that back a little bit right now, just in the event of waiting to see what happens with the election. By January, February, we should see some consistency. But for the majority, I would say the majority of people watching this, and then those who listen back to this, are going to need some type of reallocation in their portfolio. I think it's important to be proactive in your accounts. I'm a financial advisor. I consult with my clients, and the onus is to work with a trusted professional, but don't ever leave your finances on set it and forget it, right? You work hard at work to be able to provide the life that you have. Make sure that you are on top of your finances, meaning, maybe not wait for your financial advisor to approach you. Maybe approach them and say, hey, I saw Winning at Work with Joey and Patrick, and they said that we're going to experience some volatility. Can you kind of provide some color around that? Or, give me a call or reach out to someone where you have a trusted conversation and you're in a place where you feel comfortable. The biggest thing is going to be reallocation to a place where you are able to receive still some value in your investments, but getting a little bit of hedge of protection. And then also, I am not recommending that people spend unnecessary money in this season. And I get a lot of pushback. This is where I'll end here. Not saying don't buy Christmas presents, not saying don't go, purchase something if you worked hard for it and you have the money to do it. But this year may not be the year for you to make purchases that aren't necessary. And I'm not just talking about.
Are you telling me not to buy the boat this year? Wait for later.
I would say wait till later and then go back in March when the boat company is right teetering on the point of closing. Go there. I love boat companies. No shade to you guys. A lot of businesses are struggling, but you actually be able to get, better deals later on down the road as we kind of, trek through this. But if it's a big purchase that you want to make, depending on what you're going to purchase, but now may not be the best time to do that. Make sure that your four walls are covered. Make sure your investments are covered. And then if everything is good and copacetic, then make the move. But for a majority of Americans, big purchases are not in our future for now in 2020.
You heard it. Patrick Chandler's vote is for you to protect your money.
Yeah.
So let's do that in 2020 and 2021 and beyond. This has been a great Winning at Work conversation. I hope you share this with some folks at work, chat about it, talk about it, tweet about it. Make sure you're following Patrick on Instagram at Patrick R. Chandler. He drops tons of great financial advice that will help you not only win at work, but win in your finances too. So until next time, we'll see you next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. That's 1 p.m. Pacific. All right. Take care. Have a great